It's snowing in Toronto now. Oh, the leaves haven't even fallen off the trees yet, and there's snow everywhere. Anyways, guys, today we have an update video for Sievert. There's been a lot going on in Sievert since I've been kind of away and playing Escape from Duckov. The game's still going strong, and the developers and publishers are still talking about like additions and things they want to bring to the game. In the last few weeks, basically all like throughout October, Modern Wolf has been doing their bunker update videos and kind of brainstorming with the community about new features and quality of life things, new content that they want to bring to the game, or just ideas that are bouncing around in the community. And then last week's bunker update video on the 6th, Thursday, November the 6th, they actually detailed some of the features that are going to be coming out for the next content drop, which is this week. But yeah, we're going to talk about that today. We're going to go over some of the brainstorming, some of the ideas that have been going around the community, and we're just going to do kind of a recap of last week's bunker update video so you guys know exactly what's coming and you can be fully prepared for it. So I'm going to leave links to all the bunker update videos for you in the description of this video if you do want to check them out, like the last three or four. And these are kind of the ideas that the community's come up with and that they mentioned in their bunker update videos that, you know, maybe they might be working on them. They might like them as ideas. They might be working on them. They might not be working on them, but there's a lot going on here. So in terms of weapons, people have suggested like the KS-23 as maybe like a high tier kind of end game weapon, or maybe even a boss weapon. The Desert Eagle, obviously, who doesn't like a Desert Eagle in their shooters? More modern shotguns, I think like tactical shotguns, something like, I don't know, the Benelli M4 or the, what is it? Is the DP12? Is that the weird like quad barrel shotgun or something? I don't know. More like modern tactical shotguns and those kinds of things. And then also the Thompson 45 caliber submachine gun. Feels a little out of place to me in the world of Sievert, but I guess it would be cool to play with. Now, enemy types. This is something that there's a lot of like inspiration coming out of Stalker, I noticed, with some of these suggestions that have come out of the community. People are talking about doing like maybe blind enemies that can track you only by sound, and elemental enemies like the example that Shu gave in one of the bunker update videos is an electrified, like elemental electrified big that would be like faster, but do less damage, but move faster, which sounds horrifying. Honestly, that sounds absolutely terrifying. I don't think bigs need to be faster, but that would be a cool enemy type, I think. Like elemental enemies in general. That's something that honestly Sievert doesn't really have a lot of. Like there's the crystallized ghouls, the ghouls with the purple crystals sticking out of their backs and stuff. Besides that, off the top of my head, I don't think there's any really like elemental enemies in the game, so I think that's actually a pretty good suggestion. Also, there were suggestions of elite style enemies, you know, kind of big bad enemies, like a big bad blink or big or ghoul or something like that. I'm down for some stuff like that. That sounds like a really good idea. That would definitely change up the pace a little bit, and maybe you could make maybe they could make layers for some of these monsters, and you know, maybe an elite ghoul comes out of an infestation at the very end whenever you come across an infestation. That might be a little bit interesting, actually. And then there was also the idea of psi enemies, kind of akin to something like out of Stalker. They do different type of damage. They're obviously like psychic attacks, but psi enemies, that is another suggestion from the community. Now for the factions, there's been some suggestions to give the scientists some more quests. They don't really have any quests right now. They used to back in the olden days, back in the beginning times. There were a handful of quests for the scientists, but they kind of got rid of those and they put them in with all the other questing with the other factions. Questing for scientists would be cool, and there were some suggestions for the Crimson Corporation also to maybe put some rogue Crimson Corporation dudes on Industrial. Swamp and Industrial are the two maps that is kind of like front of their minds right now. The developers and the publishers like making changes to them and making them more exciting and more cool areas to explore in those two maps, make them more interesting. But yeah, think rogue Crimson soldiers, kind of like the rogues in Tarkov on Lighthouse. Maybe adding, you know, they're talking about doing that, and I don't know what those would look like. Maybe they'll have like special jerry-rigged, like different looking armor to kind of make them look a little bit more distinct. Maybe they have slightly different weapons, or I don't know. I think that would be really cool if they added that to Industrial to make it like another element, another factor you have to worry about when you go to that map. Some people also made the suggestion of maybe a radio station that you can tune into and listen to while you're raiding. Maybe there's like local news or like faction news and a little bit of music as well. That might be kind of interesting. In the bunker update video, ᴍᴏ was talking about the complexities of this feature and how it may be a little bit too difficult to implement, or it might take them a little bit longer to implement this feature, but I think it would be a really cool addition, just like quality of life wise, and be a good way for the community to share like content across the game. I'm talking about player savable difficulty presets. So like you get the perfect, maybe you get like a challenge run going and you change all of your multipliers, your settings, your damage multipliers, loot and money multipliers in the settings for Sievert. Start your playthrough and then you can export that and share it with the community. Yeah, again, ᴍᴏ was talking a little bit about the difficulty of that. I'm not a software engineer. I'm not a game developer. I don't know anything about that. Don't know if that'll come to the game ever. It might. Who knows? Changes to cooking. People have suggested adding new recipes, and actually one thing that I would actually really like to see is recipes being crafted from monster meat, from raw meat that you would get from a big or a ghoul, or you know, stuff like that. Maybe you actually use the chicken wings that you get off of the ghouls and you use that to cook some kind of stew or something like that. Maybe they could change up the raw meat to be distinct between like animals and monsters and stuff. Maybe the big meat is a different item, is it like a distinct type of meat from the blink, the meat that you get off the blink, and then the meat that you get off the boars, and you know, etc., etc. And then off of those you can make more meals in the kitchen that give you different kinds of maybe buffs or passives, stuff like that. Maybe limited time things that only last one raid or a certain number of minutes or whatever. I think that would be a really great change. I think that's an awesome suggestion, change up for the game. And then the final kind of noteworthy thing that the community's been brainstorming is more dynamic in-world events. So they're thinking things like lightning strikes. You know, when it's storming and there's thunder, sometimes maybe a little lightning strike will come down and adds another level of danger and dynamic kind of gameplay when you're raiding. I think I'd like to see that, as long as they don't overdo it. As long as lightning strikes aren't coming down like every 5 seconds, I think that would be a pretty cool addition. I like the sound of that. Okay, that's kind of everything that the community has been talking about over the last few weeks, and the ideas that ᴍᴏ's been kind of sharing on the Modern Wolf channel. Again, these are just ideas. These are brainstorming things coming out of the community. None of this is really guaranteed at the moment, but this stuff here, these are the features that they did talk about last week and confirmed that would be in this week's update. So here we go. They have new weapon perks for pistols, SMGs, and shotguns. So these are like the mastery perks, you know, when you open up the PDA and then you go to your weapon perks page, and then you can pick your perks for each class of weapon, like pistol, SMG, shotgun, sniper, rifle, and all of that stuff. There's going to be some new ones in there for pistol, shotguns, and SMGs to make that gameplay a little bit more exciting and give you a little bit more variety, and like let you be able to customize your playthrough a little bit more by, you know, choosing a perk that it maybe more fits your playstyle when you're using those types of weapons. There's also going to be a new endgame faction, which is really interesting, and they're going to show up on the industrial area. There wasn't a lot of details given out about these guys, but apparently they're like high tier and very dangerous, and there will be a boss that comes with them. They're going to have their own boss, and he's going to have this crazy customized EC74. It's all like blue looking. It almost looks like it does like elemental damage, and they did show it in action a little bit, like shooting and, you know, ripping up some NPCs, and it looks like kind of a regular gun, but it looks really just blue. It's very blue. Seems like this is going to be the main weapon of this new boss for this new faction. Kind of cool. And then speaking of bosses, there is no new faction on Swamp to my knowledge. I mean, ᴍᴏ didn't mention any of that, new faction on Swamp, but there is going to be a new boss on Swamp, and he's kind of going to be his own thing. He is going to have a BBSH. This thing also looks kind of crazy. It's like all green and stuff. I'm really interested to know how these weapons perform. I want to look at the numbers, and I want to compare them to like maybe a meta EC74 versus this custom one that the industrial boss has, and then a meta BBSH. I mean, you can't really customize the normal BBSH very much. I think you can put a drum magazine on it, and that's it. But maybe compare the numbers on that, to this new one from this Swamp boss. It'll be kind of interesting. Also, there's going to be a new grenade and ammo types coming in with this update. Very interesting. I wonder what the grenade's gonna be. Maybe it'll be like a Molotov or something. I'm not really sure. But all in all, that is everything that Modern Wolf has confirmed that's coming in this week's update. It's coming this week, guys. It's very soon. By the time you guys are seeing this video, I might try and rush this out like same day as I'm recording this, just to like get it out before the update drops. There's probably going to be a little bit more in there, and I will definitely be streaming it as soon as it drops so we can all check it out together and see the new. I'll be going over the patch notes as well. We'll just explore the whole update and see what's new with the game. Anyways, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you want to see more. Remember to keep an eye on the channel. I will be live streaming the update as soon as it drops so we can check it out together. Thank you again very much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you in the next video.